Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here and welcome back. If you're new to the show and what we're doing, my job is to give you all of the tools, conversations, resources, information, etc., to help you become a more capable man. And that's what we need in society. It's clear to me with everything that we have going on in the world, from crime rates and poverty and critical race theory and gender theory and what's going on within the world with conflicts and foreign affairs, that there is a real void of genuine masculinity, men who can step up and serve not only themselves, but their families, their businesses, their communities, and just the people around them. So that's what we're doing here. We've got podcasts. I've interviewed over, I think at this point, 350 incredible men. Just came out with my podcast with Dr. John Deloney. The week before that, we interviewed Tim Tebow. We've had Andy Frisilla, Grant Cardone, Tim Kennedy, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Pete Roberts, Steve Rinella, Matthew McConaughey. The lineup of men who we have on this podcast is phenomenal. And it's a testament to the work that we're doing here when it comes to reclaiming and restoring masculinity. So today I wanted to talk with you about something that is very, very important for a large majority of you, and that's how to lead your wife effectively as a man. I get a lot of the inspiration for our Friday Field Notes podcast from the Iron Council, which is our exclusive brotherhood, which happens to be open right now. So if you want to band with other men, you want to learn the frameworks, have access to the network of men who are going to help you accomplish big results in your life as we continue to roll into 2022, take advantage, because we're only going to be open, I believe, until Friday of next week. So that gives you 6 or 7 days to get enrolled, to band with us, over 1,200 other guys, and really get after it for the rest of 2022. You can do that at orderofman.com/Iron Council. Now, the reason I bring that up is not only because it's open right now, but because one of the reoccurring themes that I see in the Iron Council is how to lead your wife effectively. It's how to lead as a man. It's how to ensure that the direction that you want your life to go and you want the family's life to go is within your control, and you're partnering her in an effective way. So many guys lose control of this because they don't do the 5 things that I'm going to teach and share with you today. So let's get into it. Number 1, if you want to lead your wife, or anybody for that matter, more effectively, then the first thing you need to do is to lead yourself more effectively. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to cast blame. It's easy to say, if only she would do X, Y, and Z differently, then everything would be better and the direction of our family would be wonderful and we wouldn't have any issues. The problem with that is that we have a huge part to play in the dynamic of the relationship. And if all we're doing is pointing fingers and casting blame, what we're also doing is simultaneously excusing our own poor performance. Are you getting out of bed on time? Are you working out? Are you lean? Are you strong? Are you fit? Are you developing new skills that are going to make you more marketable? Are you even worth following? I mean, how can we expect that our wife or our children or our colleagues or employees or whoever it is you're trying to lead and inspire are going to follow you if you can't even be a man of your word? And that's the principle. That's the foundational principle of leadership, is being able to keep commitments to yourself and follow through. Now, look, I've had bosses who have been incredible bosses and leaders in my life, and I would follow those men. And I've had other bosses, employers, leaders, military, section chiefs, things like that, who, can't even lock in their own work and their own self-improvement. And at the same time, they're going to expect me to do something that they can't even do for themselves. That might be how your wife is looking at you. You want to lead her. You want to inspire her. You want to have some authority and some influence over her and the rest of your family. Do that for yourself first. That means get out of bed on time. That means have goals, have desires, have ambitions, have things you're working towards, and then actively be working towards those things. Guys, you don't need to be perfect. None of us are. And I don't think she expects you to be perfect. She knows that you're going to have faults and flaws. She sees those things. Okay. But if you're not working towards improving yourself, then anytime you suggest that she works on improving herself or making changes in her life or having your kids make changes in their life, they're going to scoff at that. They may not do that in front of you, but internally, deep down inside, what they're doing or behaving as if, why should they follow you when you're not even willing to follow yourself? You want to be a bold, assertive, strong, courageous, capable man within the walls of your home. Lead yourself first. Keep your commitments. Do what you say you're going to do. Always work to improve. When you mess up, make amends, fix it, rectify the situation as quickly as possible, and prove yourself worthy of being somebody worth following. Somebody worth following. Contrary to popular belief, we have an inherent sense of self-worth for sure. But when it comes to serving other people and partnering with our spouse or our children or an employer or whoever it may be, there's an added level of requirement that says you are going to add value. If you add value, you're going to be able to lead more effectively. All right. Number 2 is you have to communicate and uphold boundaries and expectations. And this isn't just about the way that she's going to show up and the way that you're going to show up. This is about your family. This is about what you want out of life. This is about how you're going to move forward hand in hand towards the challenges that you're inevitably going to face. And when there's a breakdown in communication, she's going to default back to her programming, which is her experiences, her culture, her beliefs, her parents, the way she grew up, the things that she was taught, where she grew up, and you're going to do the same thing. And so the power of a union is that you have a man over here on this side who comes to the equation with his own set of principles and ideas and circumstances and experience. And then you have a woman over here on this side with the exact same, her own ideas, her own culture, her own beliefs, and her own experiences. And then together through this union, we're more powerful, we're more well-rounded. But if you're not communicating and there's no cohesiveness between the two parties of the union, you're each going to default back to your standard way of doing things, and you're going to fall apart. There's already a divide between you two. The power and the importance of a union is bridging the gap, right? It's finding the commonalities and realizing that we want to go to the same place, and understanding that because we're partnered up, we can do that with different experiences and do that more effectively. But if you're not talking about that and you're not communicating what you will tolerate and what you want and what you would expect of her and what she can expect of you, then you're just going to naturally drift apart. And isn't that the problem we see in a lot of relationships? For those of you who have gone through a breakup, a separation, or a divorce, I'd be willing to bet that for the overwhelming majority of you, if not all of you, that the biggest challenge is the breakdown in communication between what you want. When you guys fell in love at some point, so why are you falling out of love now? Because you're both on your own path, and that's antithesis to what you want to with your union. You want to walk on the path together, right? You said to her, "I believe in you. I love you. I honor you. I cherish you, and I want to walk this path together." Well, sometimes that means you're going to have to communicate. And it's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. My wife and I had a conversation just last night, in fact, about some things that I think there was some misunderstanding, or I didn't understand fully what she was looking for. She didn't understand fully what I was looking for. And it wasn't the funnest conversation to have, but we needed to both make sure that we were in alignment and we were on the same page and we were working towards the same goals and objectives. And a 20-minute talk turned into something that was very powerful between both of us. And it was an enjoyable evening because we were willing to have those difficult and tough conversations. Now, the second part of this is making sure that you're upholding those boundaries and expectations. So if you're falling short on your objectives or the things that you've committed to doing, she should be able to check you on that. If she's falling short on those things, you should be able to check her. And it's not out of spite. It's not out of revenge. It's not to poke at each other and nitpick. It's to ensure that we're always on the same page. So when you're communicating boundaries and expectations and you're working to uphold those boundaries, we do it with a level of respect. We do it with class. We do it with the right motive, which is, I am here to serve you. I'm here to partner with you. I want to walk through life hand in hand. And in order to do that, here's what I expect of you. Here's what I ask of you. What would you expect of me? What would you ask of me? This is a two-way street. Number 3, guys, we need to do a better job hearing and understanding our spouses. Okay, it's that simple. Hear her, understand her, try to figure out what she's after. And it isn't always going to be the same as what you're after. And it is, even if it is the same, she's going to approach it from a different perspective because she's feminine. That's the point. You're masculine. So I'll hear a lot of guys say, oh man, I just don't understand women. Right. Because if you understood women, you wouldn't need to partner with a woman in your life. And women might be thinking the same thing. I just don't understand men. Right. You aren't supposed to, because if you fully understood how we operate, you would have that perspective and you wouldn't need us around. Right. So the fact that we don't understand each other is not a bug of the process. It's a feature of the process. Yes, we don't understand each other because we're coming from different perspectives, and you as a woman see it one way and we as men see it another way. That's the point. So guys, you don't need to understand her. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to know everything about why she does what she does. And ladies who are listening, same for you with regards to men. But that said, we should strive to at least understand to some degree what she might want. So here's a prime example. Let's say you've got a 4 or 5-year-old child, son or daughter, and they're out learning how to ride a bike. And the child falls down, scrapes her knee. What does the man do generally? Actually, let's start with the woman. What does the woman do generally? She rushes over, she picks the kid up, she kisses the boo-boo, she wipes it off, she has all these supportive things that she's saying. She puts a Band-Aid on it, and she just babies and coddles the child. Okay, that's not wrong. Now, men hearing that might think, well, that is wrong. You shouldn't do that, right? Because what does the man do? Well, the man says, it's okay. Wipe it off. Get tough. Dry the tears from your eyes and get back on the bike and prove that you can do it again. That's also not wrong. They're both right. One's masculine. That's a masculine approach. And the other is a feminine approach. Now, you don't need to understand why she does that in order to recognize that it's a crucial part of the process of raising children. Women, by nature, are supportive. They're nurturing. They're loving. They're caring. They show that love through the nurturing way of doing things. Men, on the other hand, can also be loving. They care about their kids. They care about their wife. They care about their people. And the way that we generally show our love is by empowering them to get back on the proverbial bike and give them the motivation, the inspiration, and maybe even the kick in the pants they need to get back on the bike and do it again. A woman doesn't need to fully understand or comprehend that to see that it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. But we should be striving to realize that what she brings to the equation is good and it's helpful. And the more that you can see her for what she's doing and recognize that even though you may not fully understand it, can at least acknowledge there's some good in it, that the motives are pure, that it might help round out what you bring to the equation, the better off you're going to be. So listen to her, hear her, read between the lines, understand where she's coming from, understand that she's feminine and that her approach is going to be different than yours. And the more that you do that, the more you can let those things slide. I used to argue with my wife, like, don't do that. Really? That's a good thing. Now, if it's taken to the extreme, that's a problem. That's where I come in and I say, hon, look, I realize here's what you're trying to do. That's a good thing. And here's what I'm trying to do. Let's find the middle ground. And she honors that. And she acknowledges that in me. And she recognizes that in me. And she sees that I'm leading myself well. So I'm fully capable of not only leading myself, but her and the kids. And I have the right intentions, pure motives. But fellas, we got to do a better job understanding and hearing our spouses. And one other thing I would say about that is being very careful of not making her one of your buddies. And occasionally my wife will call me out on this because, as I said in point number 2, is we communicate and uphold boundaries. So she has her own boundaries and I honor those. So occasionally she'll say to me, don't talk to me like one of your buddies, or don't talk to me like one of your men. That's right. She's right. She's not my buddy. She's not one of my men. She's my wife. And I honor her that way. And sometimes I cross that line and she checks that, but I'm always trying to understand her and communicate in a way that's going to land and resonate with her. That's very important. All right. Number 4, serve her. Now, guys, I know, look, there's a narrative in this popular man space or manosphere or whatever you want to call it. And I don't even like putting that label on it, but let's just call it that for now, where, you're not supposed to be subservient. You're not supposed to be serving her. And that's ridiculous. Okay. I'm not saying be subservient. Okay. But serving somebody doesn't make you subservient to them. It doesn't make you a slave. It doesn't make you a beta. It doesn't make you a cuck. It doesn't make you whatever catchphrase all these man gurus are using these days. It means you care about somebody, right? What do you do when you care about somebody? You express that care through service. So my wife's out of town today, and she'll be back tomorrow. And she made a list of things that she would like to have done. Now, I can look at that honeydew list and I can think, whoa, who is she? I'm the man of the house. I shouldn't have to do all this stuff. Or alternatively, I can recognize that these are some things that she would ask of me that would be important to her. One was getting an extra mattress for one of our beds because we're having some cousins stay with us for a couple of weeks. Okay, well, I can do that. Like I'm not a beta because I went to the furniture store and got a mattress. She asked if we would take some trash and run it to the dump, me and my 2 oldest boys. Yeah, we can do that. That doesn't make us weak or pathetic or cowardly or subservient to women or a cuck. It just means that if I can help out in some meaningful and significant way, and it's taking the trash to the dump, we can do that. Right? Because there's going to come a time where I'm going to ask her to serve me. And I do. She makes dinner for the family every night. Right. And so I'll go to jujitsu a couple of nights a week. I made this post on Instagram the other day, and we had mixed reviews on this point. And when I come home from jujitsu, there's literally a plate of food. It's dinner sitting on the counter. I'll go up, I'll hop in the shower, and I ask, "Hun, can you warm up that food for me?" And she warms it up. I come down, we sit down, and we eat dinner together after the kids have gone to bed. Okay, that doesn't make the fact that I asked her to make dinner for me. Well, I didn't even ask her. That's just the arrangement. But the fact that I asked her to warm it up doesn't make her weak or cowardly or subservient or less important. It actually makes her more important because she's serving me and I'm serving her. And I want my wife to win. And if that means I need to take the trash out, or I need to go to the dump, or I need to go to the furniture store and pick up a mattress, or I need to make sure that the kids get their homeschooling done while my wife is out of town, I can do that because I care about her and I care about the family dynamic and I care about my kids and I care about the household. And I'm not so egotistical and arrogant to believe that if I have to do anything for a woman, then somehow I'm less of a man. That isn't true at all. I'm more of a man. Isn't that what men do? Don't we serve? I mean, it's in our motto in my hat: protect, provide, preside. And if you look at those, protect, provide, preside, which is synonymous with leadership, that's what we're talking about today. All of those, protect, provide, preside, have an element at their foundational core of service. I'm here to serve. I'm here to make myself more capable. Isn't that what I'm doing now? Aren't I putting information out into the world that is going to hopefully serve as many men as possible so they can do the same thing in their life? Now, some people might say, well, yeah, you're making money doing it. So what? I'm going to add value to your life, and then you can vote with your dollars as to whether or not it's valuable. And if it is, you'll pay for a hat or a shirt or come to one of our events or sign up for our Iron Council or whatever, buy one of our books, right? But I'm adding value. That's what men do. There's a a stand-up bit or routine from Chris Rock that I saw, and I think this is several years old, but somebody had sent it to me a couple of weeks ago, and he said something to the effect of women just being inherently valuable. Like they don't have to do anything to be loved. They're just inherently valuable. But men, on the other hand, the only time they're valuable is if they're adding value. Like they actually have to prove their worth and prove their value. And he was mocking at it and poking at it. He's right. He's right. Now, look, all human beings, male and female, which are the only two sectors, by the way, male and female have an inherent sense of worth. That's not what I'm saying. They all have an inherent sense of worth. But if you want to be a valuable member of, let's say, a business organization, having an inherent sense of worth as a human soul is not going to cut it. If you want to be a valuable member of your family unit, the nuclear family, just your baseline level of human worth ain't going to cut it. You've got to bring more to the equation. And the more that you're capable of doing that, the better you're going to be able to lead your wife like a man. So I think we need to be very careful of saying, well, she should just love me and she should just appreciate me and just because. Well, cute sentiment, that's not reality. The reality is that we're valuable to the degree that we serve other individuals. And our job is to serve our wife, serve our children, serve our clients, our colleagues, our coworkers, our neighbors. And that doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more of a man because you're capable of doing so. And the last thing I want to share with you guys today is in all of my experience with talking with over 350 incredibly successful men at this point, what I see in those men is that they have a great ability to cast vision. They have a vision. They have a goal. They have an objective. They have a path. They have somewhere they're going. And what they can do very well is they can cast that vision effectively. Because if you can't cast the vision and you can't make it a compelling vision, you're going to be hard pressed to get people to follow you because the path isn't easy, right? The path of where you want to go is not an easy path. It's marred with obstacles and challenges and roadblocks and adversity and setbacks. And you need to be able to cast a vision strong enough that gets your wife past the challenges. Let's face it, guys, you and I are not easy people to deal with. You and I mess up every single day. And if we're going to expect her to continue to follow us in spite of our own shortcomings, we're going to need to cast a vision powerful enough to get her through the hardships that she's going to deal with. And she is. Especially with kids. I mean, there's mental issues, there's postpartum issues, there's temptations that she has, there's her own challenges and struggles that she deals with. There's the times where you say or do something, as I have, I'm speaking from experience, that really get under her skin and push her away. And if you don't have a powerful enough vision to keep her connected to you, to keep her on the path, you two are really, really going to struggle. So think about what you want. Encourage her to contribute in that process. One of the things that we used to do, we haven't done it in a while, probably should do this again, is every year at the end of the year, my wife and I would get away for 2 or 3 days. And we wouldn't go far. It was like a little staycation. We might go to a neighboring town or the ski resort or whatever. And we'd spend 2 or 3 days. And leading up to that time, we'd make a list of all the things that we wanted to accomplish for the year coming up. So I'd make my own list. She'd make her own list. And I'd have my personal goals. I'd have goals for the family. I'd have business pursuit and goals. And she would do the same thing. And then we would spend 2 or 3 days going through this and making sure that we're on the same page. And both of us are casting vision and thinking about what we want to accomplish and how we're going to go about doing it and what challenges might present themselves and how we would overcome those things. This is part of point number 2, is communicating and upholding boundaries. But it's also this last point, which is casting vision. Think about what you want out of life. Think about what your role is in that vision. Consider what her role is. Communicate that role to her. Get on the same page as her. if you're just going through life kind of willy-nilly, I mean, I can't help but think that maybe your wife is more like a friend or a roommate with benefits. And that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in a deeply spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically connected relationship with my wife. Physical just ain't enough for me. I have to have more. And she wants more. And then the physical side of things is just a manifestation of the connection between spiritual, mental, and emotional connection. You get that stuff right, the physical stuff starts to work itself out. But guys, I don't want to see you struggle with your spouse. I think this is I know this is a real issue. I hear about it every single day. Men who are struggling, they committed to a woman 6 months ago or 6 years ago or three decades ago, and it isn't working out and they're falling out of love and the fire is extinguished. I don't want that to happen because it's not good. It's not good for your soul. It's not good for your psyche. It's not good for your bank account. It's not good for your children. You committed to her. She committed to you. I want this to work. And these are the 5 most important things that I think you can do. There's an infinite list of other things, but these are the 5 most important things I think you can do. Number 1, lead yourself first. You want somebody else to lead you or be led by you? Lead yourself first. Number 2, communicate and uphold expectations and boundaries. Number 3, strive to hear and understand her. You won't fully do it. That's okay. At least try to see where she's coming from and try to comprehend that her feminine side is different than your masculine side. And it's good. It's a good thing. Number 4, serve her. And number 5, cast your vision for the future. That's it. Guys, if you have other thoughts, other ideas, other insights, other tips, let's keep the conversation alive on social media. You can do that in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Order of Man. I think we have 72,000 or so people in there. Or you can join our exclusive brotherhood for an elevated experience that's open for the next 5, 6, 7 days at orderofman.com/Iron Council. As always, connect with me on the socials at Ryan Mickler, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think we're now on Parler and what's the other one? Truth Social, I think it's called. There's so many different social media accounts we're trying to keep up with, but we're on all of them at Ryan Mickler. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. We'll be back next week for another powerful conversation with one of our stellar guests. And of course, your Ask Me Anything and Friday Field Notes. But until then, go out there, take action, lead your wife like a man, and become the man you are meant to be.